baseline function to severe morbidity. Even minor head injury can have severe impact, as with most trauma broken down into blunt and penetrating. Then we can see the basic anatomy of skull, that is scalp, skull, then meninges. Meninges contains dura mater, arachnoid and pia mater, then brain tissue, CSF and blood.
Next time.
Scalp is very vascular. It bleeds freely. The vessels are suspended in inelastic tissue. So as a result, vasospasms are limited. So there is severe bleeding. Then skull is like a closed box. Only opening is the foramen magnum. Rigid structure protects and contributes to several injury mechanisms. See the basic anatomy of meninges: pia mater, arachnoid membrane, and dura mater. The intracranial volume, see the intracranial volume, it is 80% brain matter, 10% blood, and 10% CSF. The intracranial volume is fixed at 100%. If more one of them is added, then something else must go. This is called autoregulation. Simon Rickelli, Dr. C. See the mechanisms of injury. It is a primary impact and a secondary impact, and it is coup and counter coup. During primary impact, the brain is injured, and due to the primary impact, the brain is moved posteriorly, and it will hit to the dura mater, and the secondary impact will come. That is called counter coup injury. Then the direct brain injuries. See the direct damage done to brain parenchyma, and damage is already done, it is irreversible. The indirect or secondary brain injury, damage that occur after the initial insult, expanding mass lesion or swelling or bleeding quickly over buffers. The end result is increased intracranial pressure, that is ICP, and or herniation. Diagnosis and treatment target minimizing the effect of these indirect insults. Then diffuse brain injuries include concussion. This concussion means mild traumatic brain injury. There is no significant imaging findings, but it does not mean no injury. Diffuse axonal injury means severe injury globally caused by sharing of axons, often neurologically devastated. Then focal brain injuries include penetrating injuries, often intuitive, obvious. Then contusions, including countercoup. Then hematomas, that is epidural, subdural, and subarachnoid hemorrhage. Then see the penetrating brain injuries. There is an injury, we can see the C. Then contusions. Then epidural hematomas, blood between inner table of skull and the dura. This is known as epidural space. Usually is a tear of middle meningeal artery. Lens-shaped hematomas that do not cross suture line seen in CT. Rare in elderly. See the CT finding. Then subdural hematomas, blood beneath the dura, overlying the brain and arachnoid, resulting from TS2 bridging vessels. Crescent-shaped density that may run length of skull, very common in elderly. See the CT. Then subarachnoid hemorrhage. Subarachnoid vessels are ruptured, may be the most common finding on moderate to severe brain injuries. The response to injury. Due to increased blood volume, natural response to injury anywhere on your body rushes in nutrients to heal injured area. Then increase in blood volume exerts pressure on the brain tissue. This eventually decreases blood flow to the uninjured part of the brain. So, the increase in cerebral edema develops after 24 to 48 hours and peaks in 3 to 5 days. Not an acute concern per se. The response to injury, carbon dioxide levels in the blood have a critical effect on cerebral blood vessels and is produced by hypoxic cells and is a very potent vasodilator. So we can review. And his two main factors that increase intracranial volume are vasodilatation, that is an immediate effect, and a cerebral edema. It is in 24 to 48 hours. Autoregulation. What is meant by autoregulation? The brain had the ability to control its environment as long as there is adequate perfusion. As long as there is adequate perfusion. The intracranial volume is fixed at 100%. If more of one thing is added, then something else must go. This is called autoregulation. See the autoregulation. See the blood volume. If the blood volume is increasing, the CSF or brain matter should go. This can be due to herniation. The herniation can be transentorial through foramen magnum or subfalcine. Then intracranial pressure, the pressure of the brain contains within the skull is intracranial pressure, that is ICP. The pressure of the blood flowing through the brain is referred as the cerebral perfusion pressure, that is CPP. The pressure of the blood in the body is the main arterial pressure, that is MAP. Then, pre-hospital care of head injury patient. What are the pre-hospital care we should do? The ABCs, then spinal immobilization, initial resuscitation, then rapid. After doing all these, you should do the rapid transportation through a higher center. See the patient with head injury. Management overall goal is to prevent or minimize secondary injuries to brain. That is, prevent hypoxia, prevent hypertension, prevent hemorrhage, prevent or limit increase in pressure. In emergency department, the assessment can be done by one ABCs, then take history. What is the cause? You should evaluate the cause of the injury. Then some clues should be taken. That is, some is Cushing's reflex, Rangonized, etc. Then physical examination. Treat prioritized live threads first. That is very important. Treat prioritized live threads first. The D of ABC is neuro exam. See the Glasgow Coma Scale. I think you know about Glasgow Coma Scale. See the motor, verbal, and eyes effects. Then the motor component contains 6, then the verbal 5, and eyes 4. Then in the Glasgow Coma Scale score, GCS 13 to 15 is mild head injury, GCS 9 to 12 is moderate head injury, and GCS 8 is severe head injury. See the external signs, Rangonized, Matlis. Then assessment of findings by looking eyes. This is constricted. It can be due to narcotics. So you have to take a proper history. Then sluggish or that is due to herniation. Then see the vital signs. Vital signs do not much until late in the intracranial pressure process. Vital signs change indicate uncompensated compression to the brainstem. Rule out other factors that alter vital signs. Then shock. Then assessment findings include Cushing's triad. What is Cushing's triad? There is hypertension, bradycardia, and altered respirations. This is a late sign. Then assessment findings we can include head injured patient is committed with a BP of 110. Is it in the normal range? Assessment findings. After After 10 minutes, BP is 1 pulse is 90, patient is still competitive. Now, what is the MAP? Explain the change. Then assessment findings. As ICP rises, auto-regulation will occur. It increases the MAP by raising the blood pressure to maintain adequate cerebral perfusion pressure. Then assessment findings then include understanding what the brain is trying to do. Consider the classic increased intracranial pressure vital signs. That is widening pulse pressure, that is 250 and 30, bradycardia heart rate 40, abnormal respiration, that is chain stroke breathing. Then BPO 250 by 130, MAP would be 170. Why is the MAP so high? The intracranial pressure is 100. Is this a good thing? Should we lower the blood pressure? Then CPP is equal to MAP minus ICP. That is 170 minus 100, that is 70. Lower BP to 190 by 100. MAP would be 130. New CPP is 30. Is this a good thing? Then management principles, ABCs. Protect spine as well. In every head injury, there is a possibility of cerebrospinal injury also. So protect spine as well. You should be done it early. Then stop blood loss elsewhere. As you know, the scalp will bleed very much. There will be a heavy bleed will be there. So you have to stop bleeding. That is, you have to maintain perfusion. See the instruments. What is this? Hello. What is this instrument? You know.
ET tube.
Okay.
ET tube.
Okay. Then management principles. Rapid imaging or definite diagnosis. Make patient stable enough to go to CT. Don't ship the patient to CT without maintaining the early. Then early rapid specialty care, that is neurosurgeons or trauma centers, or temporizing measures, that is hyperventilation, monitor, and there should be a facility for Burholz. See Burhol picture. Then management of intracranial pressure. The goal to management of intracranial pressure is to optimize respiratory gas exchange to maintain normal or decrease ICP levels. One must also be aware of the things that cause increased intracranial pressure and take steps to avoid or limit them. The management of intracranial pressure is accomplished by maintaining PaO2, PaCO2, pH at specific levels. PO2, PCO2, and pH. Then management of intracranial pressure, maintain a good pulmonary toilet, limit suctioning to less than 15 seconds. Hyperventilate before and after, limit to 1 or 2 passes. Then pH changes. As pH decreases, acidosis, ICP increases. As pH increases, alkalosis, that is seizure threshold is lowered. Seizures dramatically increase intracranial pressure. Then VVM ventilation, then 100% of oxygen can correct acute increase in ICP in as little as 2 to 3 minutes. Then management of ICP include hyperoxygenation. If PO2 drops below 50, it will cease an increase in cerebral blood flow, so increasing ICP. Then management of ICP then include, you should do hyperventilation, so removes carbon dioxide. The carbon dioxide causes vasodilatation. Vasodilatation increases blood volume in brain. This increases intracranial pressure. Then hyperventilation. Tivaniti CO3 reading of about 30 millimeters mercury. That would be about 12 to 15 mb on an intubated patient. See the picture. Then overdoing the hyperventilation can reduce the carbon dioxide levels to where there is severely constricted vessel to the brain, causing ischemia and further edema. So, connectivity should be started to guide ventilation. Then positional changes. Laying flat increases intracranial pressure. Elevate backboard at head 15 to 30 degrees. Then hip flexion decreases venous return and increases intracranial pressure. Cuffing and increases intracranial pressure. Then body temperature, too high cause increased metabolism, that is intracranial pressure. Too low causes shivering, that is low intracranial pressure. Then head and neck in neutral position. You put head and neck in neutral position. Anything else will flatten jugular veins and inhibit venous return that leads to necking pressure. Then proper sizing of cervical collar helps maintain neutral position. Padding 2 to 4 cm behind the head on a LCB is needed on most adults to achieve neutral. Then sedate and paralyze. Ventilate to PCO2 equal to 4 kPa. Position head 30 degree up. Prevent hypo or hyperglycemia. Treat seizure activity. Prevent hypothermia. Minimize interventions. Then BLS and ALS. In BLS, that should be in neutral position. BVM with 100% oxygen. Properly sized cervical collar or padding. That they know. I think you know BLS and ALS. Okay. Basic life support and advanced life support. Then protect on one side only. Maintain MAP and CPP. Consider sedation. Indication for CT scan. When did you took a CT scan for a head injury patient? ECS 12 or 15 or less. Then decreasing level of consciousness. ECS 13 or 14 not improving. Skull fracture. ECS 15 no fracture but severe and persistent headaches, seizures. For this patient, you should see a CT scan. Then, how will you admit the patient in hospital? Confusion or any other depression of the levels of consciousness at the time of examination. Skull fracture, neurological symptoms or signs, difficulty assessing patient, uncertainty, or significant memory. Then, indication for neurosurgical referral is coma after resuscitation, decreased GCS or progressive neurological deficits, depressed wards or base of skull fracture, CT scan unavailable in general hospital, abnormal brain scan, normal CT but patient's progress is unsatisfactory. With all these indications, you can refer the patient to a neurosurgical high center. Then delayed problem in head injury patients are post-concussive syndrome, delayed CSF leak, and delayed seizure. See the instruments? Which are they? I think you know this. These two instruments. What are they? What is the first one? Which is the first one? Can you hear me? No. See, there are two instruments also. Take home points. As always with trauma, you should do ABCs. Early recognition of injuries, stabilization, and rapid initiation of definitive treatment will minimize morbidity and reduce mortality. Must rapidly involve or transfer to appropriate trauma surgeons and or neurosurgeons. Life threat dealt with first. See the patient. This patient is having a what is this tube? What is that tube? Tracheostomy. Okay. Then the other one. What is that?
Rice tube.
Rice tube. Okay. See the incision. Are you fed up with head injury? Hello? Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Then go and study. Thank you.